Last night, the first shots were fired in the war on Christmas in a small town called Dedham, Massachusetts. Librarian Amber Maroney killed their annual Christmas tree because it makes some people feel uncomfortable. What an absolute Maroney. Today, Primetime got a picture of the Christmas tree that was used for the past several years. I think we have it right there. Yeah, look. Does this kid look uncomfortable to you?
So hello everyone from the Kingdom of Thailand. Now today we are talking about one of the most important conflicts in human history, and that is the war on Christmas. Can you tell which side I'm on today? Well, basically this war has been going on since about 2004 in the modern form. It's been going on actually a lot longer than that, and I've made videos on it in 2020 and 2021. And I was thinking today, is there even anything left to say about the war on Christmas? And if you care about like the history of that stuff in terms of like old Puritans cracking down on Christmas celebrations, or just like even more like modern anti-communist forms of this stuff, basically saying that the godless communists are trying to, you know, end Christmas and stuff. Now, we do have things left to talk about, surprisingly, but what this video is basically going to show you is it feels like the war on Christmas is finally coming to an end, because I've been looking at the coverage this year on conservative media and there just doesn't seem to be much hype for it. People don't really seem to care anymore. It doesn't seem to be a big issue. They're more focused on drag queen story hour these days than they are about apparent Christian values being eroded. But don't worry, some of that's going to factor in to this story anyway. And it just feels like now more than ever, the right are grasping at straws. And we're going to watch like an absolutely like hilarious Fox News segment where Jesse Waters and his news team apparently focused on like one local library which apparently didn't put up a Christmas tree. But don't worry, it's actually far more dramatic than it sounds. We actually have footage to watch of the community being very enraged by this, and it's just such an American thing to watch. So stay tuned for that part of the video. Basically what we're going to do is just focus on the war on Christmas this year and just talk about various stories surrounding it. Before we go any further, please like the video, and in the comments, especially Americans, do you know anyone in your personal life who thinks the war on Christmas is a thing? Like, still today. I understand a bit more, like with Bill O'Reilly back in like 2005 and all that hysteria around it, especially when atheists were more of like a big boogeyman in American society. So let me know down in the comments. Also follow me on social media at the Kavernacle on Twitter. Also on Instagram. Instagram's where I'm posting about my travels, and that is all saved in the highlight reels. So if you care about what I've been up to over the last couple months, you can select by month and go through what I've been posting and just follow me to stay up to date with what I'm doing. Also, if you care about travel stuff a bit more, check out my Patreon page. I've posted one travel video so far, filmed the one in Cambodia, but just need to edit that. But I've been super busy for the Christmas holidays, so I apologize for the delay with that one. Also, other benefits include getting access to the Discord server and getting access to my Nintendo Switch friend code. Also, check out the subreddit and check out my second channel down in the description. I've recently posted like some sort of ambient playlist of my favorite video game soundtracks over like some Animal Crossing wintry footage. It's quite nice for Christmas, so if you're into that stuff, maybe check that out. So before we get into the war on Christmas, I just want to talk about like my perspective on Christmas as someone who was like raised Catholic, but I'm also like a very, very staunch atheist. I just like Christmas and I have no problem calling it Christmas. I feel like this whole war on Christmas thing has just really been invented by the right wing, right? So I was, you know, raised Catholic, so we always had the religious element. I sung in like little carol concerts our school put on every year. I obviously went to church on Christmas Eve, but I always hated going to church on Christmas Eve. And I think I stopped going to church when I was like 15, even though my parents still pressured me to go. But they said, you basically still have to go for Easter and Christmas. And when I was just about 20, I was just like, I'm not going anymore. And you guys might think it's a bit ridiculous to be that old, but basically it's just because my mum would get really angry at us not going. Not that she was just like forcing us and like dragging us to go to church. But yeah, but Christmas was always fun. Christmas Eve, my routine on Christmas Eve is really fun these days. Like recently it's either like going around like my girlfriend's house and like having some sort of like dinner and watching Christmas films, and then going out to the pub with my friends, and then Christmas Day like spending it with my immediate family and just like eating loads of food and like playing video games and stuff. Like I genuinely look forward to Christmas every single year. And I'm actually pretty gutted that I'm going to be spending it in Thailand, because as amazing as this trip is, like, you just cannot beat the feeling of like winter in England and just this kind of season. Like, I enjoy it because it's my birthday in November as well. It just feels really wrong to go outside and it's like 32 degrees and really, really hot. Like, I'm even hot, like, filming this right now. And it's the first Christmas I've ever had outside of the UK as well. So it just feels like a really weird time of year. And it's just going to be like me and my girlfriend in like an apartment in Thailand, and it's going to be really, really nice, but it's just not going to feel like proper Christmas as much as we're going to try and like do all the festive things. And I'm also someone who thinks religion by and large is like pretty irredeemable. I think it's a net negative for the whole world. Even my channel name, you guys might recognize it. It sounds like the Tabernacle. I was raised Catholic. The Tabernacle is a Catholic thing, among other things. And my channel started off as like a progressive atheist channel, right? So I really don't like religion in all forms, and I still really like Christmas. So I'm sure there are so many people out there who feel the same way as I do, because I know loads of people in my personal life who weren't even raised Christian, who aren't Christian, and they still celebrate Christmas because it's just a fun holiday in like Western countries. Even in Thailand right now, you just see like loads of Christmas decorations in malls. Most of this country is Buddhist. See a couple churches and stuff with some Christmas trees, but generally it just feels like a holiday that a lot of people like to celebrate, to kind of just like spend time with your family, and generally it's pretty nice, right? So Jesse Waters on Fox News, maybe get me on Fox News. You can interview a communist atheist about why he actually likes Christmas, doesn't mind calling it Christmas, and I'm not advocating for people to get rid of it and take down Christmas trees. And if any of you feel similar to me, please let me know down in the comments. I thought we'd start off looking at the recent debate around the war on Christmas, because I thought it's just good to see what people are talking about. So this Politico article was actually from a year ago, but I actually like how it starts. So, how the war on Christmas became America's latest forever war. You'd be forgiven for thinking the war on Christmas ended a long time ago. If it ever existed, December 25th is still a holiday, Christmas trees, eggnog and lights are ubiquitous, seemingly more so every year, and if there was any doubt, Donald Trump, who proclaimed himself a general pattern of the war on Christmas during his 2016 presidential campaign, took a victory lap of sorts on a recent Mike Huckabee-hosted Newsmax Christmas special, saying, "When I started campaigning, I said you're going to say Merry Christmas again, and now people are saying it. And yet, according to a recent poll from Farley Dickinson University, more Americans believe such a war on Christmas exists than at any other point in the past decade. It hasn't just survived, it's taken over. The war on Christmas has turned out to be simply a battle, a minor skirmish in a far larger war. Its hazily defined Bush-era complaint about encroaching liberal oppression is now a part of our political landscape for good, colouring debates from criminal justice reform to foreign policy. A conflict invented to fill right-wing cable airtime in the early 2000s has expanded to chase the endless boundaries of the social media era, subsuming the rest of the political landscape." So basically, I kind of think what that Politico article is saying is that although the war on Christmas started out as something invented, now loads of people believe it's a thing as part of like a broader culture war. And that I can kind of understand. I can kind of understand how the war on Christmas has stopped being like a singular issue and is just part of like the political battleground around everything to do with like left-wing people and how tolerant they are and how they are erasing tradition. And don't worry, we're going to get into how all these combine a bit later with this Fox News story on this like one random library. But just talking about how this just seems like it's from another era in some ways, I read an article today called "The War on Christmas is a War in America," and this came out in 2022 by a guy called Don Feder. So I thought we'd just read some of this. So, "The left hates Christmas because it hates all expressions of faith in our society. On a deeper level, however, the war on Christmas is a war in America." I just said I'm a communist atheist. I love Christmas. In many ways, Christmas is as much an American holiday as a Christian holiday. Today, only 63% of Americans call themselves Christian, while 93% celebrate Christmas. In other words, almost a third of those who celebrate Christmas are non-Christians. More than Thanksgiving, Memorial Day, or the 4th of July, Christmas unites us as a people. Anything that brings Americans together, the left fears, like the flag, the national anthem, and the statue of our heroes. This is reflected in the push to get Christmas trees out of public parks and libraries, again we'll talk about that later, and the holy war against holiday decorations in schools and other public places. Sales staff risk life and limb by wishing customers a Merry Christmas. Oh my god. The mainstream media tries to gaslight us by telling us the war on Christmas was invented by conservative groups to raise money and mobilize the base. Yeah, so if the right invented the war on Christmas, why are there so many enemies of Yuletide cheer who range from the mildly obnoxious to the downright hysterical? In part, it's a sense of entitlement. Liberals believe they have the right not to be confronted with signs of a holiday they don't celebrate, but it goes far beyond that, to a matter of national identity. The left is for everything that divides us: multiculturalism, critical race theory, indoctrination in schools and unisex bathrooms, and against everything that unites us. Nothing brings Americans together like Christmas, and I say that as a non-Christian. Christmas seems to be a uniquely American holiday. I don't know if I'd really agree with that, since Christians have been celebrating Christmas since before the United States of America was even a country. Imagine writing this line, by the way: Irving Berlin's White Christmas, I'll Be Home for Christmas, Yes, Virginia, There's a Santa Claus, and memories of a time before homeless encampments, illegal aliens streaming across the border, fentanyl, and men in ball gowns demanding their inalienable rights to invade ladies' shower and changing rooms. Christmas reminds us of a time when America was sane, the normalcy for which many long. But like I was saying when I read that Politico article, like, this is what I'm talking about. People making the war on Christmas a part of the general, like, hysteria against the left. You see, he talked about all the things: critical race theory, stuff about transgender people, and bathrooms, hitting all the notes right there. I do love how he starts talking about, like, illegal aliens when talking about Christmas, right? Because as we all know, Jesus was born, raised, and died in the exact same place, right? Not that he fled around the Middle East because he was being, like, persecuted and chased. Jesus himself was a refugee. Some in Egypt might have called him an illegal alien. Basically what he's saying there, like, all the 1940s and 1950s Christmas music is like, oh yeah, Christmas is actually about, like, going back to the past where everything apparently was better. Well, maybe better for straight white men, not better for anyone else, but it just shows you, like, in essence, what conservatism is. They want to go back to this reality while they hate our new reality. And they're saying that us challenging people like this and challenging this view of Christmas, if that's even a thing that goes on, we are divisive for telling people like this version of Christmas they're promoting is bad because it's really, really conservative and seemingly really xenophobic for some reason. If anyone seems divisive in this scenario, it's not godless, leftist, communist, atheist like me. It's this dude. But anyway, here's what I wanted to focus this video on, and it's about this one library. So just going to frame the story before we look at the Fox News coverage, which is really funny. So after uproar, Dedham libraries to put up Christmas trees. There is no ban. After heated arguments, Christmas trees will go up after all at public libraries in Dedham, Massachusetts this holiday season. An official confirmed on Monday, noting that libraries don't have a ban on Christmas. But the controversy over whether Christmas trees would be part of the two libraries' holiday decorations cast a gloomy pall over the season in the town. Then you just see, like, various statements from like the local community. So town employees have been harassed and bullied over whether the libraries would put up a tree. A statement from Dedham Friday, sourcing the Rancor to a recent social media post. Boston.com reported it was the branch's employees' post that went viral. So basically, from my understanding of watching all the news reports about this, one local library I saw on the footage, maybe there's two, had put up some Christmas decorations, but they hadn't put up a Christmas tree yet, right? That's pretty much it. And the local community are mad because they put up stuff about Pride, they put up stuff to do with Hanukkah and Kwanzaa, and apparently not putting up a Christmas tree was too far. But what actually has seemed to happen is one Christian employee was quite mad, and then the story was picked up by social media, and then Fox News, And then it just got pretty crazy. So I just want to go to some Fox News coverage of this. And again, it feels like they're grasping at straws so much for this year's war on Christmas if they have to focus on like one public library not putting up a Christmas tree. So let's get into this.
Library is set to hold a public meeting next week so the public can weigh in on the Christmas tree crisis. We reached out to the library for a statement, but they haven't gotten back to us. But the residents of Dedham aren't okay with Christmas being canceled.
Sad that I won't see the decorated tree in the library. The library celebrates so many things. Pride Week, 4th of July, Thanksgiving, Kwanzaa, the Jewish holidays.
I think a tree doesn't resemble every single religion or holiday. I think it's just the thought of Christmas and the spirit of Christmas. It might make young children upset or, wonder why there's no tree.
I've been coming here for 30 years, even when my son was little. And just like most buildings at Christmas time, especially places where there are children, you expect to see Christmas trees. It's not fair that a few town employees who didn't feel comfortable were able to affect this change in this town that is supposed to be inclusive. And I feel that this is a very exclusive maneuver that they've made for those who appreciate the holiday of Christmas. And we've always had decorations for all holidays for people of different faith, not just for this one.
So why I said earlier this feels like such an American story, this just feels like such a small town America local community story. I don't know if it's just a small town, but just the thought of people even caring about this is just absolutely bizarre to me. In England, I guess I can see this happening, but it feels like it'd be relegated to the Daily Mail comment section, or really small villages and towns where everyone is such a busybody. This is the feeling I get about this. And something I want to say to you guys, especially American followers, right? This is the vibe I get from Americans, and this is a bit tongue-in-cheek, but I do feel like this sometimes. I feel like every American is waiting for their time in the spotlight, and it feels like every American is so ready to appear on news, to be this central figure in a news story. Because every time I watch stuff like this, I'm like, this feels like a movie. These people feel like they're acting. This can't be real. America is not a real place. American people aren't real. I remember watching that Knock Down the House documentary about AOC's run for Congress, or the primary, right? And her and Joe Crowley and everyone involved in that. I'm like, this could literally be a film in terms of Americans speak so well, Americans are so dramatic, Americans are so expressive. And I feel the exact same thing here. It literally feels like all these people have been cast in these roles. So Jesse Waters actually interviewed some people on his show. So let's have a look at this interview quick.
Join me now, Marianne Martin and Jason Brogan. Marianne, we're hearing that they actually celebrate Kwanzaa in this library, but not Christmas. How does that make you feel?
Oh, celebrate everything. Celebrate absolutely everything. The more partying, the better.
Celebrate Festivus. It doesn't matter, right, Jason? But why kill a tree if everyone's probably Christian in the town?
Well, Jesse, they want to be inclusive, and their idea of being inclusive is to exclude Christmas trees. So we don't really understand that, but...
And it's only the Christmas tree. It's only the Christmas tree that they're dying on that hill. They'll allow other type of celebrations. There's a gifting table. There is wreaths on the door, and they consider the Christmas tree to be offensive and more Christian, which is weird because a Christmas tree is secular and a wreath is not. A wreath
That's a good point. And Christmas
religious.
is a federal holiday. Jason, what kind of action can we expect at this town hall meeting next week?
We're hoping that the town will, or at least the library commission or trustees will approve to have the Christmas tree brought back, and all other spiritual symbols as well, right? So we want equal representation in the town. We're a very diverse town, and
that's what we want. We want equality. That's what they say they want. Yeah. Let's give them equality, and let's listen to the people, because that's what democracy is all about. Jason, Marianne, thank you so much for joining us.
But you know what I mean? It feels like every American is kind of clamoring for their 15 minutes. It feels like these people have been cast in a TV show or something like that. And it's just so bizarre to me that these people care so much about a Christmas tree. And they said it has wreaths, it has other things. It just doesn't have a tree for some reason or another. I don't even really care about this story. Like, if they did take down the tree because they think it's offensive or something like that, not that I really believe that, then yeah, I think that's dumb. I like Christmas trees, right? I've been grinding away on Animal Crossing trying to get Christmas tree recipes to put on my town, and I haven't been able to find them for years. I've been really sad about that because it's so hard to get them. Again, I'm not a religious person. I just like the way Christmas trees look, and I like the lights on them. But again, they talked about this town hall coming up. This town hall, oh my God, it's so good. And at least it's not as insane as all those school board meetings I always watch. You know, literally the most crazy people on earth show up to these things. Have like very real effects on children's education, which is the depressing thing. But again, it feels like everyone is just waiting. They're waiting for the chance to have a little bit of a spotlight, to have their time to speak, and to talk about more ridiculous stuff. Now, I will say, in this video, I think it's cut to be a bit more manipulative. It seems like people maybe were just saying stuff that is like fair enough, but at the same time, this is all about a Christmas tree in a public library, right? How many of these people actually go into the library? I'd actually love to know. And I just love that Fox News is so desperate they have to amplify this. So here is the town meeting where they discuss the discrimination that is not putting up the Christmas tree this year.
Somebody also wrote, Christmas tree is a symbol of Christianity and all other issues associated with it to others. As a tax-paying member of this community, we should all be represented, not just those people.
Why do you hate Christians so much?
This is not about a Christmas tree. This is about you trying to lead the town into being woke. These people now are watching you. They're not going to put up with it anymore.
I'm not here tonight to defend anything, but one thing I am here to do tonight is to say that the Christmas tree should have been up.
I'm Jewish. For me, Christmas is a time of peace. It's a time we should give respect to everybody.
I'm sad, having been a life resident of this town, that the board didn't say anything except that they were still decorating and working on a conversation that happened back in the spring.
There's been a tree in this town for 30 years at the library, and all of a sudden it's not there this year, so it was disturbing.
You decided not to have a tree for whatever biases that you may have. You thought nobody was going to find out about it. Thankfully, Mrs. Desmond said something. Thankfully, Turtle Boy picked up the story. Thankfully, Jesse Waters picked up the story. The local media, everybody picked up the story. And now you're just sitting in the pile of poop that you made for yourself.
If I'll tell you right now, if I had little kids, I would move away because of all you people. None of you had the courage to stand up and do what was right. You embarrassed us all over a tree.
Seriously, how is that even real? How do you find enough people, even in a small community, if this is a small community, to care about a tree? And again, like I was saying, I feel like everyone just wants to get up and say something. Of course, they know like there is national media there now because it's on Fox News. But just all those people, like how emotional they were about a Christmas tree. Of course, you had a Jewish man and a Muslim woman saying, you know, they don't care about the tree. They want the tree up and stuff like that. So it's clear it's not even a real issue. It might have just been like one person who made this decision. And like I said, again, atheist, communist, I like Christmas trees, put the Christmas tree up in the library, who cares? But of course you see people saying it's not about woke, and that guy at the end saying if he had kids he would move away because the public library didn't put up a Christmas tree. I know British people are also insane, but Americans, what is wrong with you? And like I said, about 90% of those people feel like they're actors. They feel like they're casting a movie. Why are Americans so dramatic? Why do so many of them think their whole life is literally a movie? That is just absolute insanity. And it can only be the product of like American media and American conservative politics that the story about one public library in one place in America becomes a national news story. And it has Fox News like whip up all this hysteria. And apparently the woke don't like Christmas trees, even though I do love the irony of this story being set in Massachusetts, you know, where some of the most puritanical Christians in American history lived, who actually didn't like Christmas themselves and actually banned Christmas themselves as well. I guess it's now ironic it's the woke left instead that are taking down all the Christmas trees. But like I've been saying, this just feels desperate at this point, right? There is no war on Christmas. There's never been a war on Christmas. What there has been is a pushback against, I don't know, forcing religion down people's throats. And in a country like America, which is meant to not have a state religion, it's meant to be about freedom, right? You're meant to have the freedom to not believe. You're meant to have the freedom to not go to church or say stuff about God. And that's why America does have a nice secular Christmas for a lot of people. They talked about Irving Berlin, who was a Jewish man who wrote some of the most famous Christmas songs of all time. Lots of secular Jews celebrate Christmas. Like I said, I know lots of people who aren't Christian who celebrate Christmas. I'm not Christian. I celebrate Christmas as well when I'm home. Christmas is just fun. The religious part of it is boring. But then you have people like in that article saying they want this like conservative, xenophobic Christmas. And yeah, that is not okay, because even if we're just thinking about the birth of Jesus Christ as a baby had to flee with his parents to different countries and stuff. Jesus Christ, if he even existed, meant to be like some amazing kind guy who loved all these outcasts and loved the marginalized in society. A lot of conservatives just completely like ignore that. And even now, they're making Christmas something very, very exclusionary. But the war on Christmas, I think, is on its last legs. But of course, as we've seen in the video, a more sinister thing is like rising. And that is all this fear-mongering about woke culture, transgender bathrooms, and all this really xenophobic language, which of course has been part and parcel of the conservative movement literally forever. But of course, it seems recently it's becoming far more mask off and dangerous, and a lot of this rhetoric that gets amplified does result in actual like physical violence. So that is the depressing part. And I guess on that note, this video is probably going up on Christmas Eve for me. Maybe it's the 23rd for you. I hope everyone who celebrates the holidays enjoys Christmas. I know I'm going to try and relax. I've made a couple videos in advance, so I can have like nearly 2 weeks off. That will be really nice, because I really haven't had any time off this year, I believe, apart from about 5 days in September when I first got to Southeast Asia. But I am definitely missing English Christmas. I'm missing the snow. We had snow before Christmas for the first time in like 12 years. So I would have liked to have been there for that. I like always walking around the park in this weather. And it's just nice to be with your family and friends and at the end of the year and have this like relaxing week. So yeah, I'll miss all that, but it's a one-off probably for me. I'll try and enjoy my Thailand beach Christmas. Sure, I will actually have a really good time. But again, it is the time where you do miss home more than others. Like, I've been out of England for 7 months of 12 this year. And I think the last couple of weeks are the only time I've actually wanted to be home. But I know also, because of like the connotations with family, that Christmas can be really hard for a lot of people. So I hope if you're one of those people, you still have a good time. Maybe treat yourself to something nice. I like using stuff like Christmas, my birthday, as excuses to get loads of bad food or like buy video games and stuff. So maybe do something like that. And yeah, I hope everyone has a good Christmas holidays. And although I have videos coming out next week, they've already been recorded. But yeah, thank you for the support this year. And I hope 2023 is a better year for everyone, but I'm pretty pessimistic about life in general. I'm pretty doomerish, so maybe just enjoy Christmas and don't think about next year. Anyway, that is it for the video. Let me know what you thought of that town hall meeting, and if you made it this far, thank you for watching.